His bones creak, and he sighs heavily. The old man sits down, heavily, into his high, leather-back chair.
"Well now, my grandson, I must tell you a tale of 3 men. The age past is when we set our scene. The world is young, it is part of a chain, each link a world, each ring a home to thousands, to millions. One of the rings, the Ring Oqual, a disk of 5 moons, submerged completely in a ring of water, the endless sea. This is where we find our Oakland men from. The other planet, a harsh disk of stone, coated in a toxic cyclone of poisonous green gas. This is where the first planet was lost. This planet explodes before our eyes, launching shards of rock into the endless sky. Some of the land shards collide with the center planet. This is our home, our world. Soon after, the Oakland detached themselves, with only one parting gift: the sun. But you know all this. What you may not know is this tale. In the land of the Ashta and his kings we start. High above the plateau we sink quickly, racing across the surface of the warm volcanic rock. We meet a river, the Una. It flows past strong fortresses, a battle between tribes, a monastery painted blood red, and finally, the great river, the Anu. We follow this river as it pulls in its tributaries as we burst over the UTR, the United Trading Republic. As we descend, so does the threat of war, but not here. Just past the large burnt scar of the ancient dragons is a tiny hamlet, the hamlet of Humpton, or Newton, depending on who you ask. This is the story of how this hamlet earned its place upon the map. We zoom closer to the ground, through a thick canopy slanted towards the partially risen sun, right down to the ground, to a silver plant shoot, its leaves reflecting the bright midday sun. Grey Shadeleaf reached down, checking to see if the plant had its counterpart insect, yet sadly there was no silver beetle. On the road behind him, a nobleman cleared his throat to gain Grey's attention. He asked for directions. The large merchant joined in the conversation. Then, soon after, they split paths and moved towards the hamlet. Grey was wearing a dark green hunting clothes. The traditional clothes underneath, a dark brown leg wrap and a plain leg skirt. His short bow held tightly in his hand. Knuckles white, he aimed his bow at the deer. A net surrounded him within the second, hundreds of fish hooks woven into the netting. Realizing that resistance awarded only pain, he held still, until a large gloved hand smothered his face with his own chloroform-like substances. He woke, his back against the merchant's. The merchant was a large man, entirely built from crystal. His beard, just under a meter long, was pointing north for some unknown reason, and was made of tiny shards of an almost white-looking glass. He was totally covered in 3 layers, a
a slightly stained shirt wrap, a loose pastel yellow shirt, and a dark leaf green coat. The nobleman tied to a stake on the other side of the clearing by the tent shifted as he woke, pulling the long stiletto knife from his leg sheath with his teeth. Gray noticed the thousands of lacerations on the merchant's legs and arms, the final cut made by the stiletto, and the two of them dashed behind the ring tent, behind their stake. The nobleman cried out for a truce. He was willing to help the bandits if they worked with him. A small man clambered out of his lean-to, placing his large mug of ale on a crate of firewood. They bartered for a deal until Hermo, as his name turned out to be, looked over to the second stake. His eyes were met with a knife. Harsh, disarming insults from Lord Smythe rained down upon him from behind. The fight was fast and deadly, the merchant on his last ounce of energy. The bandit was insulted to the brink of death, only to be lit alight with his co-workers in their own fire pit. The merchant burst forth with powerful sheets of fire and a calm militaristic precision. The bandits, overly organized and perfectly in sync, seemed to be melding their minds through a magical orb. Unluckily, consciousness was lost to Grey, but luckily, field medicine was a speciality of Harper. The merchant quickly brought Grey back from the brink, saving the 19-year-old's life for not the last time. Through the entire turmoil, Rambutan Smythe, the lord, the nobleman, disarmed and mentally attacked each bandit from the ground, unmoving. He was dressed in a suit, comfortable yet suitable for long journeys, a flower in his shirt button, and the corner of a love letter in his jacket pocket.
There are heroes of this tale. These are the folk. Later we can continue. Now for hot chocolate. Hot cocoa, does that sound good to you?